Hey, now I'm going to talk about the various teams that will be present or exist inside an IT company, and what kind of roles will be exist inside the IT company, so that you can get a clear picture of what's going on, what's going on during projects, and what is going to happen with your project too. So. So normally each and every company in the world today has different needs. They face different business problems, and they use different technologies. Therefore, the size, roles, and structures of their IT teams are vary. They vary greatly. So from one IT company to other company, there is a huge difference between the teams, their responsibilities, and then roles based on the what kind of technologies they are using, what kind of project management they are using. So, however, so we can discuss the most important roles and responsibilities and teams that that will be present inside a company, an IT company. So responsibilities of IT teams majorly depends upon the type of IT team a company has, depends on what IT needs that business has. Usually, IT teams take care of these areas. First one is managing and maintaining IT systems. So these IT teams maintain and upgrade systems that are being used by the company and its employees. And second, automating processes. IT teams use appropriate technology to automate various business operations. And system integration, the third one is system integration. IT teams are responsible for integrating the various systems a company uses. It could be a client, it could be a client or a one. So managing data, IT teams take care of storing, protecting, validating, and processing data. And fifth one, the most important one, system security. IT teams develop and implement procedures to make the operating systems work effectively. And the last but not least, technology support. IT teams assist users when they need help with technology, and they fix operating systems when they malfunction. So now that we know what responsibilities IT teams usually have, let's move on to what types of teams you see across different companies. So basically, there are many different roles in IT, and many of them are incredibly creative or require business expertise. Let's go through the most common roles you will see in IT teams. So, the most common role, the designation is project manager. That's a project manager. So, basically, a project manager is in charge of planning and seeing a project through from the start to the end. He or she, that project manager, coordinates the work of different teams and oversees all the processes and ensures a project runs on time and on a budget. The most important, runs on time and on a budget. He has to make sure that is firmly following the required timelines that has been bounded. And the next one is IT analysts. Basically, or business analyst also comes under this. So IT analysts are responsible for analyzing a business needs, reviewing existing IT systems, and finding opportunities to optimize work processes. So once it is done, then it goes to the IT architect. IT architect will basically design the systems, what requirement, based on the application requirement, based on the uh, requirements of the customer or client. So he designs uh, the system that the developers or UI UX designers or uh, next operations team, whoever is gonna use to develop an application, the whole architecture is going to be made by the IT architect team in our case, in this project. So once it up from there, it will go to the UI UX designer. He will design the nice presentable user interface and user experience, front end client side application. So basically he designs the one the one which will be faced to the client, to the user. So he puts a lot of effort so that it looks brilliant, it looks fantastic, fantabulous, and eye catchy. So we will then it goes on to the developers. Then the players comes into the pitch, then they start building. So the developers are people who write code. They develop software applications using various programming languages, while backend developers take care of product functionality. Front end developers develop the visual elements that users see and interact. That's what I was saying. The front end developers who develop the visual elements that user sees and interact. So that user interface and UX will be designed by the UI UX designers. And once your application crosses the stage, the role of the developers, then it will move on to the next stage. Basically this stage, here we'll find a people who do testing and takes care of quality assurance. We call them as quality assurance professionals, in short QA professionals. ensure that ensures that QA professionals ensure that applications work as expected, and identify defects that must be fixed. So as I told you, then before this stage we might also find some data scientists. They collect, validate, and analyze data to help business make data driven decisions. And initially I told you, IT architects or solution architects, they design IT systems and ensure that new solutions fit into the existing IT architecture. Then we will move on to the product. We'll move on to the deployment side. There we will have an operations team who actually put it into the production server, so that users, or it's simply they make your application uh, they make your application exposable to the external world. Literally they expose your application so that users can see it, can use it, can view it, can do whatever they want with your application. So then once deployment is done, then there is a most important aspect of the whole ecosystem, the security experts. We call them as a security experts. They protect organizations from cyber threats and attacks. They foresee possible security issues and implement measures to prevent these attacks. So, in addition to that, we have a support team who fundamentally collect the information or gather the feedback, and whatever the issues we face, they collect all those things and they intimate these issues or feedback again back to the developers so that they can do the modification and whatever requirement that we ask for. So that's the support team. So these are the roles that normally we have. In addition to that, the most important one, but the final one, the system admins. The system admins are the one who creates, or in a proper way, we call it as uh, the system admins who provision the whole systems or infrastructure and configure that infrastructure so that from designing till development, deployment, and security, you can do all inside an infrastructure. So basically, they provision and configure your servers, so-called servers. The servers could be it's a production server, it could be a development server, it could be a testing server, it could be a staging server, whatever it could be. That server will be provisioned and configured by your system admins. And and the final one is IT engineers. This is a common role. It's a broad role. It is used for everywhere. IT engineers are responsible for installing, maintaining, and configuring an organization's hardware, software, and networks. That's what normally we call them as a system admins, or sometimes they call it as a IT engineers. If it is specific to the deployment and this kind of work, they are called system admins. Or if it is in a normal company where they are taking care of the assets of a employee, so they are called as a IT engineers. So with this, modern approaches like agile and scrum frameworks allow for all the various departments to effectively work together. For example, developers, ops, that's operations team, and QA professionals often share overlapping responsibilities. So, however, it's important to remember that each team must have a clear range of responsibilities, as this will allow them to effectively solve the problems their business faces.